Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 143 of RickCast here. And I hope everybody's having a wonderful 4th of July. And you guys are out there having fun. Maybe, you're not eating meat, my fellow Catholics. We're not eating meat today. We aren't doing that. It's not what we do. Hopefully you are enjoying something else along those lines, but you are not eating meat today. You can have hot dogs and burgers and all that stuff tomorrow. Don't worry about it today. You'll be able to enjoy those things all up and down the weekend. But maybe you're eating some popcorn, maybe you're having a beer, maybe you're just kicking back and just kind of letting it all sit as what you are dealing with and everything that's happening out there in the great big beyond. We can get some fried catfish. Heck yeah, Bellator. That's a good call. You're getting rained out in San Antonio. Did you see what happened in Kerrville, Raymond? That was tragic. Let me see if I can pull up something on that, folks. If you hadn't heard across the country, there was an absolute tragedy, Kerrville. Today, because we've been getting rain, which I guess I've been lying in the fact that we usually don't get rain this far into the summer, and yet for some reason we're still getting it, and it's absolutely horrific what is happening out there. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can Kerrville, Texas flooding. Okay, well that works. I'm trying to find a good one. I know I should have done this before. I didn't think it was going to be applicable until Raymond, and I'm not blaming you, Raymond. You actually mentioned it, and I'm like, I should have talked about that. But I'm getting it downloaded for you right now. We'll talk about it in a moment as it's working. So let's see if it actually gets there. But the Guadalupe River rose 26 feet in 45 minutes. It was just tragic what happened. It was a campground was messed up, and it's just awful. See if looks like it's coming up right now. So I'll get this up here right away. So in case you're wondering what we're talking about. This happened today, and of course, we find out about these things on Twitter or whatever the case may be. Let's check this all out.
Some heartbreaking news that I'm going to share. I've spoken to this man standing on this foundation over here. He is actually the brother of the person who owned this home. What he's informed me of is that his brother's house is actually missing. His 2 children are missing. He has no idea where his brother is. And he doesn't have any idea where his brother's wife is. So his brother's home, including his brother's wife, and his 2 children are now missing on the situation. He's in shock. That's what he was able to share with me. But I do have confirmation that a home was here. Now it's not here. And this man is sort of left to see what actually progresses of the situation with a missing family member and an entire family. An entire family is currently missing right now. I'm sure there's more cases of this around the city, but just thinking of that, a family gone, nobody knows where they're at. There's been a natural disaster in the area, and it's an absolute tragedy. But that's what I've been able to learn in the last 5 minutes.
Look at the Guadalupe River near Kerrville. Water's moving very swiftly there. We've got a lot of debris there as well.
I've been there, but I can't remember what it's supposed to look like. I know it's not supposed to look like that.
Well, it's moving really fast.
But it is, look how fast it's moving. So, of course, they're telling people to get away. I think they said evacuation within like
100
mile?
yards.
Oh, 100 yards, okay.
Yes.
They're calling it life-threatening.
Life-threatening
rain.
Yeah. With an active flash flood emergency
Yes.
right now, all surrounding areas of Kerrville.
And are they expecting, so this is a live radar there, so they're getting even more rain there?
They are. So this is a live look at the radar over Kerrville. This is where that flash flood emergency is. And I want you to notice the timestamp. This is now in effect until 2 o'clock this afternoon. This started around 10, then it went to noon, and now that is through 2 o'clock this afternoon. Again, this can be life-threatening, and most of these storms is what we call training. So one developed and then redeveloped over the other area, and that's why
it just came down so fast.
So fast. You know, most of this morning in Central Texas, it did look like showers and thunderstorms, but we were expecting it to move a little bit faster, and it has just remained stationary, and that's what's leading to this problem.
Yeah, there's been several water rescues and some rooftop rescues as well. River to crest around 9 a.m. Crest predicted to be 29 feet. And they said, don't think the worst is over yet. So a dire situation there in Kerrville.
Wow. Hopefully everybody stays away. They know better than to get in any water like that. Wow.
Yeah, Brian. The river was running at 120,000 cubic feet per second. This is not something we deal with in July in Texas. I've been here for 16 years, 18 years, actually. Married to my wife for 16. Been here for 18. There was this flooding like this, I think the year before I moved down to Texas in like 2006, but it's never been, at least while I've lived here, this absolutely devastating. And it's a tragedy, and pray for all the families involved. I don't even want to talk about the fact that there's like a 2002. Okay, got it. So I knew it was something like that. It wasn't, it happened before I came down here. Okay. Thank you, Brian. But there's like a campground full of like young girls that are missing. It's absolutely tragic to see this take place, especially on this weekend. And yeah, it doesn't look like it's gonna let up anytime soon. So it happened back in 1998, 1987. So there is, looks like what, every 10 years, except we got like a good 20-year bump between 2002 to now. So just awful, just absolutely terrible to see. So hopefully you are enjoying the time with your family tonight, because as we know, any time can be the end of it, and we don't want to waste that time that we have. So enjoy the time you have with your families, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll get to our stories. Yeah, it looks like it. Hill Country does get it, because if you're wondering, Kerrville is about, what would you say, Brian, about an hour west of Austin. Probably 45 minutes south of Fredericksburg, which is a very popular tourist destination. And then, so it's right in what we call the Hill Country. It's very scenic, very pretty, very green, which is funny because you go like 45 minutes west of that, and it just turns bare desert and death, and nobody wants to be there. Okay, so we did have that 2016. So we did kind of keep within the balance or the time frame. The Blanco River wiped out Wimberley. Yeah. The thing is, these rivers, you go for 10 years, you'll walk by them, and it looks like the creek from Robin Hood Men in Tights, where there's barely any water in it. And so people tend to not take them as seriously as they should. And then all of a sudden it takes one weather system to fill them back up, and they fill back up quickly, and they just go all over the place. You got caught in one in Utah? Oh man, that's like a fear of mine. I don't, getting caught in a flash flood. Obviously, it's not as much of a fear for me as a sinkhole, but flash floods are absolutely terrifying. Absolutely, man. So, just keep the people in Kerrville, Texas, in your prayers, for the families who are probably going to end up, losing family members this weekend, because it does not look like it's going to have a happy ending, to be completely honest. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just trying to be really a realist at this point. So multiple people are dead. 20 girls are missing from a summer camp, which is just absolutely just Heartbreaking. 13 people died in Kerr County due to flooding, and 23 girls from Camp Mystic remain missing. During a Friday press briefing, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick expressed hope for their safe recovery, which, I mean, I know what he's doing, but if 23 girls at this camp go missing in flash flooding, maybe there's an act of God out there. Maybe God, all things are possible. It is God's plan, not ours. But the fact is, you never tell people, you never try to give people like hope in that regard. Oh man, just awful. Really, just an absolutely terrible thing to talk about, just to even kind of experience on a day where people are supposed to be spending time here. And yeah, I mean, yeah, that is a silver lining. The lakes are filling up because especially Brian knows this, and anybody else in Texas, when you get to the high point of the dry season, there's always articles about climate change. Now Texas is drying up and it's all this and that, and it's, the end of the world. And then you get this and it's like, well, what is that? Well, it's because of climate change that there are rainstorms. Give me a break. It's either one or it's the other, pick a side. So unfortunately, we had to lead off with kind of a negative note, but in the same way, we are thankful and we pray for the souls of the faithful departed. And we pray for the 23 young girls. If there is a chance that they are safely recovered, let it happen. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So what do we have on tap tonight? We're going to talk about Trump signing the big, beautiful betrayal. I like that. Joey Chestnut wins another hot dog eating contest. A third of young adults think the 4th of July celebrates independence from Native Americans. And then we'll talk about the weekend box office. And by the way, an interstellar object has been detected in the solar system. So Bruce Willis and the boys, we're getting them ready to, jump on the shuttles to kick a little asteroid butt. So let's get to our couple warm-up stories. First one here. Trump says he plans to host a UFC fight at the White House to celebrate the 250 years of independence. Why not? I mean, whatever. You want to have a UFC fight at the White House? Worse things have happened there. That doesn't bother me. People who treat the White House as some kind of sacrosanct place that can't be muddied up. It's like, Bill Clinton lived there for 8 years, right? There's nothing sacred about the White House. The place is about as dirty as it comes. So if you want to have a fight there, go ahead and knock yourself out, literally. But yes, that is a little bit of an offbeat story here that, hey, looks like we're trying to get there. Yeah, it's not 200 fears. Yep. But I mean, and we'll talk about more that when we get to the big, beautiful bill and all that kind of stuff. But he's just the one accelerating it. You kind of hope in a way that it does accelerate the process. Kind of. So that way we can kind of get it over with. But, keep your eye out for that UFC fight. All right. Next up, astronomers spot an interstellar object speeding through the solar system. Don't worry, I have a video for this. And go video, go.
On the future of everything, interstellar. How amazing is it that we humans have a word for something that literally flies between stars? And so far, we've only known about 2 interstellar visitors in our recorded history. That is until now, because astronomers have just detected another something out there blazing into our solar system at like 152,000 miles an hour. And unlike Earth and the rest of the planets that are locked into orbit, this thing is not going to be here for very long. Now, you might remember the other two interstellar objects that we've talked about a lot here. The first one was Oumuamua back in 2017. It was known for that weird long shape, the weird movements, and all of the theories behind its origins. Then came 21 Borisov. It looked a little bit more like a traditional comet. Now entering the solar system, chat, is 31 Atlas. This is it right here. Just popped up on astronomers' radar a few days ago, thanks to the Atlas Planetary Defense System. It is still a blurry dot in the sky, but the early data is suggesting that this thing could be miles wide. The good news for Earth, 31 Atlas is not coming anywhere near us. This is the trajectory right here. It's kind of close to Mars, but not really. But it's still pretty far away from Earth. Researchers say it'll swing by the sun at about twice our distance. That's going to happen right around Halloween. Our next guest helped calculate its trajectory. So let's hope he is right. Dr. Peter Varesh is an astronomer at Harvard's Minor Planet Center. Doctor, thanks so much for being with us. Let's start with a track here. Like, how good of a look are we going to get at this thing come late October?
All right. You
Good
gotta
evening
be
from the Minor.
brutal. All right, we're done. Fine. The interstellar object's coming. We're not worried about it. Moving on. Not very space friendly, this crowd tonight. You guys are killing me. Yes, the man was very flamboyant, we'll say. He was flamboyant in that way, and so now we'll move on. All right, let's get to our first story of the night. Brutal audience. Brutal. I mean, yeah, he was kind of fancy, but anyway, moving on. First story of the night. Trump signs the big, beautiful betrayal at a White House 4th of July picnic. Trump signed a multi-trillion-dollar tax and spending cut at the White House today, celebrating a divisive. We'll go with divisive. Guys, I never said I was a genius. I can't speak. Legislative victory. Legislation extends Trump's 2017 tax cuts and cuts Medicare and food stamps by 1.2 trillion and adds 3.3 trillion to the deficit over a decade. No, I don't care. Brian, I don't care. I work for you. And if you guys really don't like the bundle of sticks, then I'm going to get rid of the bundle of sticks. It's that simple. If you guys don't like them, then I get rid of them. Simple as that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving back into the big, beautiful betrayal. Legislation adds that Democratic leaders, I don't care. Whatever. As we've talked about this thing, we have gone over this bill back and forth, the positives, the negatives, all that kind of stuff, looking at what this thing is going to do. And honestly, if it's going to speed up the demise, I'm kind of on board with it. Because who cares? I mean, I guess I've been blackpilled by this. Yay, the thing with immigration, great. I didn't get my suppressors and I didn't get my SBRs, so I'm kind of like I'm turning into Cartman. Forget you guys. I'm going home. I don't give a rip about what else is in this legislation. Oh, look at the tax cuts. Don't care about the tax cuts. Look at this. I don't care about that either. I wanted my stupid SBRs and suppressors. That's what I wanted. Gun guys never get anything we want. We're always getting the garbage. And I'm tired of it. So it is what it is. Yeah, the AI thing, right? The AI thing is in there. Everybody kind of forgot about that. Everybody forgot about the AI problem. And just continue to move along. No big deal with that. I mean, they don't care because they're already setting up everything in the process. If you watch news from the Pew last night, there's already AI.gov, I think, which takes you directly to the White House because they have something else they're going to drop in the meantime. So, whatever. If you're really getting that bugged out about it, who cares? It's all stuff. It's not going to get you closer to heaven. It's not going to make you a it's not going to make your life better or any of these other kinds of things. It's just more government sludge. It's just more government sludge for them to pump out. So it doesn't really bother me too much in that way. So yeah, News from the Pew is definitely a show that we try to be informative, but it is not for the faint of heart. It can definitely blackpill people really quick, and that's okay, because the whole point of it is like, hey guys, world's falling. Make sure you stay in line with what's important, and that's really what we are looking for. But yeah, the big beautiful bill has been signed. Yay! Ish. So yeah. RickCast is here for our 4th of July special. I don't take days off. This may not be a super long show. It'll probably end up being like 45 minutes to an hour. But the fact that everybody else makes such a big deal. I mean, yeah, I went to work today. I worked at the gun at that Sendero Shooting Sports. If you're in Central Texas, or if you're in Texas and you want to come see me or take an LTC class, you can go to Sendero Shooting Sports. That's where I am. I worked there. I did this show. Now, for some people, I get it. It's the 4th of July weekend. It's nice. It's the middle of the summer. It's a lot of fun. I'm not dumping on it. If you're somebody like Brian who has a real job and works, like a real job and all these other kinds of things, it's nice to get an extra day off. I'm not poo-pooing on that. I'm definitely not poo-pooing on that in any way, shape, or form. But for people like me and people that work in my industry, like Tim Cass took the night off. You couldn't do your show tonight. It's just weird that people decide when they should take nights off and when they shouldn't. Working like an extra hour for me, getting to hang out with you guys for an extra hour is not a big deal. So, the founders never took days off. Neither do we. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to our next story. Like I said, it's not a action-packed day, but there's still stuff that's happening around here. So, the famous Nathan's hot dog eating contest took place today. And I mean, this should be America's pastime. I love baseball, but we should replace baseball with a hot dog eating contest, because it is the best of America. Gluttonous and, disgusting the way we just literally sit around and watch people shove hot dogs into their mouth. Should I actually show you guys some of Joey Chestnut's uh for I knew, Brian, as soon as I mentioned that, I knew you were going to be like, bro, I work for the government. What are you talking about? What do you mean real job? I get no, you know what? That's a good question, Lou. I guarantee you he signs some kind of contract every year. He signed like his participation contract. It's got to say in there, you can't fault us for things that happen later in life. I'm sure there's a waiver that they sign that they can't sue Nathan's for medical injuries because you shoved 70.5 hot dogs and buns down your throat in a minute. I mean, this is kind of like the gayest contest ever. Let's just be real, right? Let's just be real. Surprising that there's a Kamala Harris joke in here somewhere. I'm trying to keep it family friendly, but I'm sure there's a Kamala Harris joke in here somewhere about right? Yeah. I mean, what happened to pie eating contests? I thought pie eating contests were kind of like the American thing to do. Now we're just going, nope, shove them hot dogs down the throat. Shove the hot dogs, shove them. Go, go, go. And people are like, yeah, this is a pretty super good idea. It's so 2024. Oh, what, the Kamala Harris joke? Yeah, it probably is. It probably is very much 2024. In regard. So hey, when he dies, I'm not saying Joey Chestnut's gonna die anymore. Is it gonna say on his tombstone? I don't even know if he's married or whatever. 17-time hot dog eating champion. Because let's be real, if I could get that put on my tombstone, I absolutely would. I absolutely would. Right. Greatest hot dog eater ever. They're gonna be like, Joey Chestnut must have been gay. Was he like, eh? No, he just ate a lot of hot dogs. Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Like, eh? So he regained his title by eating 70.5 hot dogs and buns. Chestnut won the contest for the 17th time, defeating runner-up Patrick Bertoloni by a margin of 24 hot dogs. He beat him by 24 hot dogs. Man, that's not even close. That's not even close. That's a blowout. That's a wiener blowout. Chestnut's win follows a 1-year ban due to his partnership with Impossible Foods. Nathan's hot dog eating contest has been held since 1972. Oh, when he dies, he should be called the King of the Hot Dogs. King of the Hot Dogs, Joey Chestnut, shoving the wieners down his throat. They will write songs about this man someday. That's crazy. Oh, this is the news today, folks. Joey Chestnut won. All right, let's move on here. It is RickCast. Do me a favor, like, subscribe. You guys know the deal. Like, subscribe, share. You hit the notification bell. You do all the fun stuff to help the show continue to grow. I'm happy. This is pretty much about my normal, my normal crew all made their way here tonight, and I appreciate that, guys. Yes, that's right. Happy birthday to the Union. Do I say a lot of bad things about the Union? Probably. Would I want to live anywhere else outside of Rome? Probably not. I'm not gonna lie, I would totally live in Rome. But outside of Rome, I say that, but then I'm like, but I wouldn't be able to take my guns with me. And that's what happens, when you ever talk to your family, like, oh, maybe we could live here. Maybe we could live here. Yeah, I'm my biggest yes or no if I want to move somewhere is if I could take my guns with me. That's always one of my biggest things. Like if I can take my guns with me or not. If I cannot take my guns with me, I usually don't want to go somewhere. So it is what it is. But yes, happy birthday, America. The Union is here. All right, moving on. Speaking of Independence Day, the 4th of July, a third of young adults think July 4th celebrates independence from the Native Americans, and that's one of them, I guess. And apparently people can't spell Independence Day correctly, which is why I just type in 4th of July. That's right. That's right. Amen. Let's see here. Holiday is made possible because of guns. So thank all the gun owners of the past. Amen. Independence Day may be synonymous with summer, but one survey found many Americans should go back to school. Turns out 1 in 3 people don't know how to spell independence. Well, that's spell check ruined us all. Let's be real. And even fewer know why America celebrates the 4th of July. They should all watch that Tom Cruise movie, Born on the 4th of July. Specifically, a 2022 poll of 1,300 Americans commissioned by lawsuit.org, which is a very strange thing to begin with in the first place, found over a third spelled independence incorrectly. Now, to be fair, that is a pretty long word. It's got a lot of syllables. Moreover, researchers add that internet searches for how to spell independence while they spell independence in the query skyrocketed by 85% during the 4th of July holiday weekend. That's why you just say 4th of July. Happy 4th of July. The most common way people misspell this important word in the American lexicon is by using an A, spelling it independence. Oh. Okay, another common misspelling includes independence, 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 and independence, which actually is a real word, but no such thing on Independence Day. Wow, we are stupid. we are dumb. Which is very American, so I'm okay with it. Spelling isn't the only thing giving many people trouble on the 4th of July. Last year's survey also discovered that plenty of responders deserve an F in American history. And as a former American history teacher, I can tell you this is a fact. At least 30 Mexicans, a gaggle of them, have been installing sprinklers on the corner. Oh. Okay. So, let's see here. Spelling is the only thing, blah, blah, blah. Most elementary school students could tell you the 4th of July commemorates the adoption of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, which was actually on July 2nd, but whatever. We won't get into that story. The signing of the nation, which wasn't a nation at the time, it was a collection of colonies. It was actually, the whole thing about this, there's actually, the whole thing is that people don't even realize that there was the Articles of Confederation beforehand, and that, the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. It doesn't mean we were automatically the union that we are now. We actually weren't. It was a confederation pretty much then. And then we did the Articles of Confederation, which I stand on business that the Articles of Confederation is actually a superior document to the U.S. Constitution. And I think a lot of problems that we have in America today would not be there if we stuck with the original Articles of Confederation. I'm telling you, I think it was a much, much stronger and better document than what we have. However, the poll found 2 in 3 young adults in Gen Z don't know who Americans declared their independence from. In fact, 1 in 3 Gen Zers think July 4th celebrates America's independence from the Native Americans, those pesky Indians. Overall, less than 58% of all respondents correctly answered that America gained its freedom from Great Britain, which we seceded from. Just remember that. Nearly 8% said Europe, which, I mean, I would give them partial credit for that one. Over 8% said South America. Nope, you fail. And more than 12% chose none of the above. We didn't secede from anybody, man. Forget it. We just were here. Yeah, I don't have many expectations for these people, but also let's cut Gen Z some slack, because the teachers they had were too busy, talking about their weekends with their heathen partners, and trying to spell which pronoun they had, that the kids didn't have time to learn anything. So I'm willing to give Gen Z a little slack, because it's most likely the teacher's fault that they were in that position in the first place. All right. Well, what are you doing? Come on, YouTube or StreamYard. There we go. Perhaps these respondents think the sci-fi blockbuster Independence Day is a documentary. Don't you dare Study Finds talk badly about the classic film Independence Day. The embarrassing American trivia doesn't end there. Once again, if there's embarrassing American trivia, that's due to the fact that most history teachers are terrible people. So just don't forget about that. I would post that, Brian, but I think that might get me taken down. It's hysterical, but Anyway, 1 in 10 responders, actually, a poll also found people need a refresher course on the American flag. 1 in 10 didn't know how many stripes are on the American flag. Red, white, and blue may be easy to remember. The poll discovered that the average American thinks there are 14 stripes on the flag instead of the correct answer of 13, symbolizing the original 13 colonies. So regardless, how will you spell it? Happy 4th of July. So good on them. So yeah, Yeah, that's true. You are not lying. The reason I got my first teaching job, Brian, in Fort Worth was because, and I was a coach. The female head coach of the female basketball team, the girls basketball team, she interviewed me and she's like, I want this guy. I wasn't going to get hired, but she said, I want this guy to work. I want this guy to be my assistant coach. That's why I got my first job. My second teaching stint in Dallas was because some things happened where I left Fort Worth and I left too soon. It was my fault. I thought there was a better opportunity. It wasn't. Stupid things. I was younger. But I contacted one of the old teachers in Fort Worth at Trimble Tech, and he knew a guy in Dallas who needed a coaching. He needed his spots on his coaching. The new head coach was brought in, and he needed to fill the rest of the roster. So I got my second job at Dallas ISD because they were going to hire me on as a football coach. So, and then it was refreshing when I worked at the charter school because they didn't have sports, so I didn't have to worry about actually being in any of that. So I didn't have to worry about that fact. So I was very happy when I did that. And the fact that I don't want to ever coach again is something that I cannot tell you enough. I'm good with it. So, I enjoyed coaching for what it was, but in the end, I'm done with it. I don't need it anymore. Yeah, so that's how I got my jobs. Don't let them steal. October 7th, the Battle of Lepanto's a major. Yeah. Well, here's the problem. They'll never give Catholics that time. It'll always be about the most favored nation. So we'll celebrate it and we'll honor Our Lady, and that's the only thing that matters. Everybody else can kind of go pound sand in that regard. Doesn't bother me at all. All right, last story of the night, guys. Nope, already Independence Day. Happy Independence Day. Wait until we're a majority Indian country and they're like, Happy Independence Day. I'm very good with them. Happy. La, la, la. Anyway, this isn't even alcohol. All right, ladies and gentlemen, last story of the night. Jurassic World Rebirth soars to life over the July 4th weekend. So let's check out Box Office Mojo and see how much it's made so far. So Jurassic World Rebirth at this point has made 55%, 55 million net, right now. Made 30 million on Wednesday, 25 million on Thursday. So let's take a look at what it's going to talk about during the now we don't have international numbers yet, so we can't figure that out. It looks like because it's this is awful. This is awful. Oh wait, this is just the weekend. 80 to 100 million. Even if it comes in at 100 million, that's still only a couple out of 5 days because Jurassic World Dominion, the last Jurassic World, made like 140, something like that. So this would only be 10 million more out of a 5-day weekend. Now, of course, they'll be fine with it, but it is what it is. So between 80 and 100 million, they've already made 55 here. So even if it's 80, that's 130. If it's 100, then it's 150. So, I mean, I don't think it deserves either one because it's a garbage movie, but little kids like dinosaurs, and that's why these films keep getting made. If you don't like it, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can check out my review at RickCast Reviews, where I pretty much ripped this film apart with a plot thinner than the Dollar Tree toilet paper. It's really, I mean, I actually had some people on my comment on the video being like, hey man, the video was, I like the movie. I like the movie. And you know what? Here's my thing. If you like this movie, who cares what I think? That's really what I'm saying. If you like this movie, who cares? I just dropped the link to the Jurassic World trailer in the chat if you want to take a look at it. If you like the movie, who cares what I think? Anyway, although it seems Jurassic World Rebirth will potentially be the first Jurassic to open below 100 million since Jurassic Park 3, Well, it's going to be, I mean, it's already at 55 million. It's already at 55 million now. So if it can make another 50 million in 3 days. We'll see. Looks like it's going to make it between 120 and 140 for a 5-day frame. 5 days for 120 is still terrible, by the way. Now, Jurassic World might have gotten a boost from the fact that the weather's been bad all over the country, so people might have gone to see it. But outside of that, it's not a very strong film. It may, and also here's the second, it may do well this weekend, but it will drop precipitously next weekend. Previous Jurassic World Dominion was not universally beloved, doing less business than the 1993 original domestically and worldwide. But it still had enough juice to cross the $1 billion. They willed that film to get over $1 billion. They just kept it. Universal just kept it in theaters until it made $1 billion. So, it might do well this weekend because people want to go see it. Blah blah blah. But this film is not going to have legs enough to get to $1 billion. If this film tops out at 800, 900 billion, because the first Jurassic World with Chris Pratt made like 208, and then the second one, Fallen Kingdom, I think it made like 170. And then I don't know. They dropped by about 30 million or 300. They dropped by about 300 million in their openings. So the last one, Dominion, did like 1.3 billion. Not 1.3. Sorry. It did like 104. No, I'm talking about the final run. It did 1.3 million. I'm sorry, 1.3 billion. So 300 would put this around 800 million. If it does 800 million, it may be a success and it may win July. July is going to be a slugfest of 3 films that nobody's really excited about. So we'll see. I'm going to say it's going to come in with the 55 already. I don't know. I'll give it 140. I think 140, right? The top end of it. I think the top end is, I'm going to say 130. I don't want to give it the top. I don't want to give it the top end. I'll say 130. 130 even. Rick says 130 even. F1 may make between 25 to 35. So F1 is still holding really strong. If you think about it, F1, the movie, is still holding amazingly strong. So it did that, and then made 6 million Monday, 8 million Tuesday, 4 million Wednesday, 6 million Thursday. So it's still doing very well. It's got 172 worldwide. You put another 25 million onto that, that's going to be $200 million. So that's pretty interesting in that regard. Let's see here. So the first weekend it made 55 million. So a strong hold would be 35 million. Could be the biggest grossing live action sports movie after Talladega Nights. The con is that this movie costs $200 million. And if it wasn't Apple, then people would be worried about it not making money. But Apple has so much money to burn, they don't care how it does. It's really just an advertisement for their streaming service in that way. That's really what they want to do, is they want to use that. Of course, Jurassic World and Superman over the next 2 weeks is going to hurt the PLFs, which are the premium large formats, and that's going to be a problem. Now, F1 may be on word of mouth just superior to everything else and have really strong holdings from week to week. So this weekend is going to be the first test to see, will F1 have the legs, or was it just kind of a fantasy? How to Train Your Dragon looks like it's going to come in probably at 10 million. I don't think it's going to be 14. I think it's going to be 10. And then that's the rest of the weekend outlook. So it's really about how well will Jurassic World do. I think it's going to be 130. Even 130 on a 5-day frame is less than Jurassic World Dominion's 145 and 3. So that's really what the problem is. They're going to be like, oh, it was 130 million plus whatever. Then, of course, If it makes 100 million internationally, then you're looking at 235, which is still not great, but the returns are diminishing on these as they're on the 7th film at this point. They're one more film away from just turning these things into kaiju movies where they just kind of wait for the monster and watch everybody just die. But this movie was still terrible. Don't waste your money on it. I say don't waste your money on it, please. Even if it, unless you have Peacock, the streaming service, I would not even rent it unless it was on super sale for like $1.99. And even then, I still think you're paying too much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this Independence episode of RickCast. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. I want you to do me a favor on the way out. Like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell on the way out. I want you all to have a good, safe weekend. Make sure you tomorrow eat as many hot dogs and hamburgers or whatever the case may be on your way, to celebrate the birth of a union. And then I will see you guys here on Monday on RickCast. I want you guys to have a great weekend. Stay safe. Don't get into trouble. I'll talk to you all Monday. God bless. And until that day comes, free Dexter Taylor.